Mike McCool. I'm in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Laura Galente. Laura is the Democratic candidate for the 18th District, House of Delegates. Welcome. Good to
Thanks
see
for
you
having
again.
me, yeah.
Last time we talked to Laura, it was on the sidewalk out in front of C&C Frozen Treats, and she was in town, I think, for Fun Day then. I think
I
that's
think
when it
that's
was.
right.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
yes.
back in the summer.
Well, she's been busy. I've seen her in Marshall at the forum you had down there, and so I know you've been crisscrossing your area, District 18, and you're out and about. And I see.
And Festival of Leaves, I
Oh,
saw
that's
you.
right. You've actually been in Warren County a lot.
Quite a bit.
Considering our county is divided with 3 delegates, maybe we'll have some representation. Hopefully this next term. I wonder. We're always talking internally about just give us 1 delegate so we know who to yell at.
Right.
But anyway, so why, Laura, do you even want this job?
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's real important that we have people who are focused on good government accountability, especially when you look at what's happened with the EDA in Warren County. You need people who are really going to fight for the basic common sense infrastructure and jobs that we need in this county and across the district, while still keeping it rural, still keeping it small town, the aspects that we love out here. And in the other pieces, we've got to make sure that we've got an education system that can keep teachers here. We're losing 10% of our teachers across this district to neighboring counties, and it's not just pay, it's also the benefits, it's healthcare costs. So we've got to really look at how we position Warren County and have an advocate in Richmond instead of like what you're saying, 3 parts of a town in Front Royal that are divided with different delegates with no one really looking. What you'll get from me living in Marshall 25 miles down the road is someone who's really focused on how we position our district well, including Front Royal and Warren.
Well, you mentioned that. I'm having a senior moment here, but you mentioned the schools, and I mean the process of it. It's a larger process on things. It's not just one item that we can get in healthcare with keeping teachers. Pay. Everybody uses pay. The first thing on the list is pay, but
Right.
but we know that pay is really 6th, 7th, 8th down the list. There's a lot of things that involve into that circle, but healthcare is a major thing, and especially this last year, in Warren County, on the Obamacare, no one took the plan they offered. So people are traveling down to Gainesville and Manassas to see a doctor.
See a doctor, yeah.
Valley Health wouldn't take the plan. No doctor in town took the plan. This year it's a little better. Some have signed up, but what good's it do to have health care if no one takes it?
If you're not covered,
And,
right?
and then only Warren County. I mean, all the counties around us, they take it. I mean, I don't know. It just seems strange that we are allowed to get. We have a quote a universal health care system, so to speak, of why we can't. Why isn't the insurance good across county lines and things? Why does the commission let them do that?
Right. We need more competition in the healthcare market. That's really clear in
Competition
Virginia.
drives the price down.
It does. So do transparency laws. I like transparency laws that look at the price of a procedure and how much your prescription drugs are going to cost. When you walk out of a doctor's office, often you don't know if you're going to pay $70 or $700
Exactly.
or $7,000. And that sunshine as a disinfectant on transparency laws goes a real long way in bringing healthcare costs down. But we've got to get competition from different health insurance companies into Virginia.
Well,
The
cross
highest
state
cost
lines, cross county lines.
Yeah.
We have one big pool. I always thought when I had insurance in my company here, I had 15 employees, but I was in that small pool, and yet we've got 10,000 workers in our county. We're all going to the same healthcare provider. Why isn't that pool 10,000 people and not
Bigger.
15 people? Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's a lot of things to do. But let's jump back on this EDA because that's
Sure.
something I think that, Warren County is not the only EDA that's had problems. Some in Virginia, some around the country. So what do you think, what's your plans that you think you could do to kind of put some oversight into this?
So the way that EDAs, Economic Development Authorities, are chartered in Virginia is the Commonwealth. Virginia gives the authority down to the county to run the EDA. And the EDA runs itself with authority and oversight at the county level. Well, boy, has that not worked for Warren County. Right? Along with other counties, and we're not alone in that out here, right? Just for context, New Jersey had a $500 million embezzlement scandal.
They do things bigger in New Jersey.
Yeah, sorry to beat up Jersey a little bit, but the key here is having an oversight structure that goes beyond just a circle of good old boys at the county level. And in Richmond, what we can do is simply have a committee that looks at an annual report which the EDAs should be doing anyways, have an ability in Richmond for people that are either a whistleblower or who are digging in and smelling something rotten and fishy
Like the
in these
Royal
reports.
Examiner? Yeah.
Like the Royal Examiner. But like some of the council members who started raising flags early in this and were told, go shut up, you're ruining our chances, right? We need an outlet for people who are seeing something to be able to say something and then have that taken care of and looked into by an outside body. And I think that should be a bipartisan group in Richmond. The other piece is, when you're going to spend taxpayer dollars on bonds, on property acquisitions, you need to have public hearings that have a chance for people to come out to them, not a one-day notice. You've got to give notice to people.
And you're speaking that, like we'll have a public hearing at 7:00, and 10 people get up and speak, and immediately they vote on it. Like, how did they have time to even consider
the conclusion was already made.
Exactly.
Right?
We already know what we're going to vote on, so it doesn't matter. That's just a Band-Aid or an optic photo opportunity. It's not really a public hearing because you didn't take any consideration because it's already ready to vote. I think that's and there's a law on that and how public hearings work, but I think maybe we need to look into that and saying there needs to be time between public hearings and voting on things. And we do have some first readings and second readings and different things, but people they think that no one listens to them. And I think you see that now in what I call the broom party. They're sweeping out incumbents.
Right.
And I think that's statewide. And, I think as part of that, people are just fed up. Like I said, I'm not taking it anymore. And they're looking at it and saying, we want people that
are accountable and work for us. I was on Main Street 2 hours ago talking with a couple small business owners who are long time, 50, 60 year.
Right.
Front Royal grew up here, a couple generations in the ground. And they're saying, look, I love Front Royal. We have such a great community here. We're sitting here at the Gateway of Appalachia. We're on the Appalachian Trail. We've got all of these great aspects here. And we need a citizens commission that's looking at some of this too and saying, does this smell right? Is this what our citizens want? How are we getting more people involved in the future of Warren County here in Front Royal? And a piece of that means having someone to go to, I think at the state level, to say, hey, something's wrong here. But the other piece is the vision. There are so many people who absolutely want to be invested in what the future looks like here. Let's make sure we've got a parallel track to get a real project in place to make sure we've got the jobs out here that keep the feeling that we love.
Yeah, we are a rural area, and I notice your campaign is, you're focusing on that word, of course, when you think about Fauquier County, it's just like all them Northern Virginians moved out there. Now they don't want anybody else to come, you know what I mean? But they're gentlemen farmers, we got ours, now you all stay away. So, and there's some of that. There's some of that in Warren County as well. But, people come out to these places and they love it and they want to move here and stay. And and I say that because we're getting a lot more Democrats out here. This is a pretty heavily Republican area.
I've heard.
And I'm sure you've heard it. And truthfully, the Democrats have just never really put out a good candidate. I think you and a couple others have finally stepped up and they've have some decent candidates that I think really stand a chance to get elected. So I say that, as a compliment to you.
Well, thank you, yes.
But, you are fighting an uphill battle in a Republican stronghold. But, people, there's only 10% Democrats. And I said, I think there's a lot more. Don't be surprised that a Democrat doesn't sneak in the back door and take these elections away from the Republicans. So and I know you've been working hard to do that. But
we have been, and I'll tell you, I think there are a lot fewer people that see this as a D versus R race.
Right.
I think that most people, especially out here in Warren, feel like they want someone who's accountable. They want someone who works their tail off, right? And that's what I've got. I put myself through law school at night.
Sure.
I was a cybersecurity professional at the Pentagon, run my own business now, have a 6-year-old son, and have my little farm.
And you got a horse.
I have horses and sheep and a guard llama for kicks too.
So that's a lot of work.
It is, but the thing is, people want common sense before anything else. And look, that's what I am before I'm a Democrat. I out here to make some practical solutions that work, take some common sense steps to position our district really well, make sure we can keep it rural, which we love, but still have the job base to support that so we don't become Prince William County in terms of density, right? So I think people want I liked your broom party. The broom party. Sweep out the incumbents.
Yeah, sweep them out.
We need some new ideas. And we need new ideas that are based on listening to people. And you know, because you've seen me around, but
Sure.
I've been out here 2 ears to 1 mouth, right? Listening before talking.
Right.
Warren County, Rappahannock, I've got a piece of Northern Culpeper, and then most of Fauquier, and I keep hearing the same things. Internet access, healthcare costs, keep our teachers here, make sure that we've got good jobs. And over again, that's what people want, and that doesn't have a D or an R next to it.
Right. Well, I think, too, is once you get to probably about where you're at in the pecking order of elected officials, the national platform doesn't really get too involved in that.
That's right.
But once you step up to the state level, I mean, you know, like to the federal level, these platforms, and I think that's what really irritates a lot of people, and where there's a lot of separation in D's and R's.
That's right.
Is really at the national level, and you know they always say all politics is local, but you know at the local level these things really don't normally enter into it. And you're right, we need people that are going to be out there working hard
On local issues.
on
To
local
bring that
issues.
full circle. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
So
what
do you have a
this is about.
90-day plan?
Fewer than 90 days.
Well, you know,
November
we
6th,
don't-
we're getting to work and getting internet figured out
Well,
here.
that's true. Internet is vital. I can remember when it started, and I had my website up in 1994.
Early.
Early, and things were, I bought my first modem, 300 baud modem, and thought that was hot stuff. And
Yeah.
then I have a 1200 baud modem, and you know all about this stuff. I paid $1,200 for this. This modem, and people
Slow as a
don't know
turtle
what we're
today.
talking
Yeah,
about.
people-
No one knows what we're talking about. But
Google it.
yeah, Google it. But nowadays, I got fiber. I
Yeah.
got a gig up and a gig down. So I wish
Well,
we had
that's
that.
a luxury right now.
It is a luxury,
Yeah.
but it's coming to rural areas, and there's by competition, and by next year we'll have 2 companies having fiber in Warren County. So
Finally. But to look at it, I was over in Shenandoah Farms Friday night, second largest subdivision in the Commonwealth,
Right.
in Virginia, right? No fiber optic cable
Right.
for the most part.
Wow.
So in back to competition on this, right? Comcast and Verizon are the dominant players in Virginia, to put it mildly.
Sure.
They're setting so much of the law on how we actually get that middle mile, that kind of
Sure,
middle
sure.
infrastructure, the guts of the internet, out further. And what I want to do is go down and really look at how you either open up the true fiber optic cable, the infrastructure to push internet out here, and let some of these smaller providers who can trench fiber optic cable, who can push it further at a profitable price, they get to compete if the larger guys don't find it profitable
Right.
to do this. So this is about making sure the market is fair and really driving it.
And Warren County's been that way over the years. I can remember when I first moved here in the 70s, we had Central Telephone Company, and they only had Warren County. They had nothing else, around. And you could get 2 lines that would hunt up but wouldn't hunt down. I had 13 phone lines. I had 3 and 4 phones setting on every desk, because which one's ringing? Hit
Right.
that button, So things have changed around in technology, and it's just hard to keep up with it. But our laws aren't keeping up with the technology. The technology is going faster than what the laws can keep up with.
And nor are our legislators. Man, I've been talking to voters all day, so I'm losing my words at this point. But we need people who will go to Richmond and not take bad tech answers. I'm someone who's willing to really dig in here. I've spent 12 years between the Pentagon and my own side on technology and on the security side of it
And
as
I
well.
think that's where we're going. Technology is affecting all of us, and this little device right here is the future. I mean, look at our newspaper, our telephone, our television, music.
Homework,
our
running your business.
Well, we're a CD and DVD manufacturer, and I can tell you that is going in the tank. Things are on the phone, and you can listen to your music on your phone. You can put it, and hook
Yeah,
it automatically
subscription-based.
pairs in your car. It's just changed, and
Yeah.
it's changing so fast that we got to keep up with it.
We do.
So, you said your plan? You said internet, but what else you got up your sleeve? I know you talking to you in the past, you have a lot of things you want to do, but are you familiar? It turns slow.
It does. It
Sets in
does.
committee, you know.
Well, look, we're here now just 2 months, essentially, ahead of what will be the next legislative session, the 401st legislative session of the General
Amazing.
Assembly.
Isn't that hard to believe?
It's wild. And it's a 2-month session. It's January and February. So you get your ducks in a row. You get your bills written out, which, I get to wake up November 6th after we win this, and it's going to be a nail biter, but we're going to pull this off November 6th and really think about and work with both private sector and legislators who've been down there, both sides of the aisle. Yes, let's make sure we get a real map for upload download speeds across the Commonwealth. Basics, right? I think that's going to be real easy to pass, right? Pretty bipartisan here. Let's go look at how we really push on some of the cable providers to figure out how we open up this middle mile. That's going to take some work. It's a partnership with private industry as well. Just think that through. And then I really want to make sure that we get jobs in the trades prioritized. And this isn't just a budget issue. This is about looking at our standards of learning in the other parts of Virginia's school system and saying, do we have kids hitting in high school the ability to go, some will want to go to college, some are going to want to look at entrepreneurial paths that involve the trades, that involve technical paths and career and technical education. Are they capable of getting into that area as a freshman, as a sophomore? Can they look at that earlier in the school system? And that's what I really want to focus on too, because I hear over and over, college might not be right, but I sure want to get a good paying job, have good benefits,
Sure.
and run my own business in 3-4 years. Well, that might be a carpenter or computer automated design. So I really want to push down that lane and propose some bills in January.
I know sometimes you hire, I hire college graduates, and I got to train them. I got to train them all over again. And, I've hired English majors, and I'm definitely not an English major. And I have to correct all their spellings and their grammar. I thought, well, that degree didn't do much good, So you're right. I mean, I think one of the important things too is we need to just motivate kids today to want to learn, want to do.
Yeah.
I want to call them entrepreneurs of education, but it seems like they just play on their phone and don't really seem too excited about. Is that the school system or just parenting or a combination of everything? But
yeah,
that's part of the process, I
Get
think.
some responsibility back in people's education career so that they know what they want to do and are looking up from the phone and saying, what are the opportunities here? What I love about our small school systems is that you can have really good integrated career and technical programs earlier.
Right.
One thing that I propose on the agriculture side is looking at our school lunch procurement process so that there's a cutout for local farms. How about this? You're in Warren County, and you can go down to Browntown, where we have a couple great farms that are supplying some of the restaurants in Front Royal, and you've got your let's say you have your 8th graders doing a biotechnology project about different cattle weights at different times, right? And then that's also the beef that's coming into the school system. So there's a really cool integration path that we have out here that just needs some focus, some energy around it, and we've got the community, business and people who want to make that really sing, and that's how our area becomes not just prosperous, but a real engine for what people's future can look like in the type of economy that we're creating here.
So and that's a lot of things that'll happen through high school, and I think we have a really good program with our community colleges, and Virginia has done a really good job of that, and especially with this dual enrollment and the different things. So education is important, and I know it's important on your platform. You're looking out for your son. I know you want. I always say these are the people that are going to be paying our Social Security in the future. So we got to treat them well and make sure they can get a good job, right? Well, it all works out. So what's next on the next week? We got about a week left.
Door knocking. You're going to see me at the doors. We just did probably 40 doors here in the last few hours. Front Royal's great because it's a nice, dense area where we can really hit a lot of people quickly.
It's not Shenandoah Farms.
I'm doing Shenandoah Farms too, so look out. But we're going to be knocking a lot of doors and talking about the common sense pieces of our platform that I've been working on since December.
Well, I think that's the buzzword this time is common sense. People know it. You don't have to have a big college education to know what common sense.
It's not as common as you think.
It's not as common. Well, that's true.
But we're pushing it. Yeah.
We're pushing it. I appreciate your enthusiasm and you've stuck it out. You've done the hard parts downhill. So, you got a good staff I know working for you. and
We have a lot of volunteers out there too,
A lot of
and
volunteers.
we wouldn't have made it here if we didn't have the ground support.
Well, that's
And
great.
It's been a great
Well,
outpouring of people.
You have a strange district, because you don't know where it is. You're over campaigning in somebody else's district before you know it. So anyway, keep up the good work.
Thanks.
We'll have we'll see you tonight at the forum here in Warren County. So
Great.
that's tonight. We'll get this video up and people can watch it. Now remember, it's November the 5th is the election. Please, well, they say vote often, vote early, but we won't say that. But please vote. And if you can't get there on November 5th, you can vote early.
That's right.
And you can get your absentee ballot in. So please do that, because I think this will be a very tight rate, and a lot of the
race.
I've been hanging around you too long.
Yeah, right.
A tight race in almost all the offices. And we have our sheriff election and the board of supervisors and the delegates, and I think it's going to be a lot closer because we really have good candidates this time. I mean, on both sides, really good candidates are hardworking. So that means the votes will be tight. So your vote is important. Please schedule on November 5th. Get out and vote, and it's your American right. It's the American way. So
Your
do
civic
it.
duty.
Civic duty. So you can't complain unless you vote. How's that? That's what I always say.
I like it.
All right. Thanks again, Laura. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.